Hi guys, this is Mike from programming.org. Let's create our database and run a basic migration. First, in the last video, we created a database called My Blog Site. So what I want to do now is I want to SSH into my Vagrant machine and create a database called My Blog Site through MySQL on the terminal. So let's go to our terminal, and right now I'm in the Laravel 5 directory. So I want to go back a couple directories, and now we're in the www folder. And let's see, and we have Homestead in our site. So let's go into Homestead, and inside of here, what I want to do is I want to Vagrant SSH. And if you did the correct SSH keys, you should be able to gain access to this virtual machine server. So hit enter. Now we're inside of our Laravel Homestead box. So let's make some room. And the first thing I want to do is I want to get back to the Laravel 5 directory. But to show you that this is mapping directly to our computer, let's look at this. Let's see what's inside of this directory. We have sites. So let's go inside of our sites directory. Look inside of there, and I have all of the projects that I currently have under sites, and we're looking for Laravel 5. So let's go into there, Laravel 5, and we have our Laravel project. So that is mapping perfectly to our computer. So what we can do now is I want to get into our MySQL server. So the way we do that is MySQL, and then we're going to say -u, and where we set up our username, which was Homestead, and our password is secret, we're going to say U Homestead and -p secret. Hit enter, and now we have access to our MySQL server. So let's see if we have our My Blog Site database. So first I'm going to say show databases, semicolon. And these are all the databases I have in this current instance of our database, and I don't have that. So let's create that real quick. The command is create database my blog site. Hit enter, and now we have our database, but we don't have anything inside of here. So let's actually use this database. And the way we use this database is use my blog site, semicolon. Hit enter. Now we're inside this database. So let's see what tables we have. And the command for that is show tables, and we have an empty set. So what I want to do now is I want to go back and I want to migrate the migration files that come packaged with Laravel. And those are a create users table migration and a create password reset migration. And that comes in handy when we want to deal with logging in users. So let's go to database, migrations, and inside of here, like I said, we have our create users table, which extends migration, and we have our create password resets table. I want to take a look at create users table, which extends migration, and we're going to use a schema blueprint and a migrations migration. For extending migration, it comes with two methods, up and down. So when we create the database table, we're going to run up. We're not going to call up directly. We're going to say PHP artisan migrate, but behind the scenes, it's going to run this up method. And the way we're going to read this out is it says schema create the users table, and then it's going to run this callback function, and it's going to take in the blueprint of our table, and we're going to call an auto incrementing ID. That comes standard with any table you create. You should have this, and you should also have this table timestamps. So the next thing is table string name. So that means we're going to have a column row called name of the type string, similar to varchar. And you can go to the Laravel documentation to get a better look at what string, what increments, what all of these things mean, what unique refers to. There's quite a few cool things we can do to abstract ourselves away from dealing with a MySQL database and make things a lot easier. So we have an email that must be unique. We have a password that is 60 characters long. And down here for the down method, it says schema drop users table. So if we want to roll back our migration, is what we call it, rollback, it's going to just dump this table. So let's say that I created this users table, but later down the road I wanted to add another field. Maybe I wanted to split the name into first name and last name. It's very simple. All we do is PHP artisan rollback, and then I just add in or switch this to first name and then another one for last name, and then I can remigrate the table. It's much simpler than dealing with MySQL on its own. So let's run this migration and create these two tables in our database. And after that, we're going to create a new table for our blog in the next video. So for this one, let's go back to our terminal. So right here, let's get out of MySQL for right now. So I'm going to just say exit. And I want to, let's make some room. And I want to say PHP Artisan just to see what we have available for us. So right here we have migrate, and we have a couple things we can do. We're going to do migrate rollback a couple times. We may do reset, which rolls back all the database migrations. Refresh, which is cool because it'll roll back and then remigrate for us all in one. Over here, we have just PHP Artisan migrate, and that runs all the database migrations we need to run. So let's do that real quick. PHP Artisan migrate. Hit enter, and we have migrated the table successfully, and we created a users table and a password resets table. I want you to take a look at something real quick. I'm going to cover models later on in the series, but because everything kind of overlaps, I need to take a very basic look at a few things in the models area, even though we're not going to cover it right now. Look at the syntax behind this. Create users table. Well, for the most part, except for this create password resets table, let's go back to Sublime to show you this better. What we have inside of our app is we have this user.php file, and notice that user is capital. This is called a model. For our model view controller, this is our user model. And notice it extends model. Well, it references the users table right here. So when we create users table, the syntax for that, if you look up here, is create underscore users. So it's this word with lowercase u, and then it has an s at the end. So you make the model plural and all lowercase, and then another underscore table. So that is the convention. In the next video, we're going to make a migration for our blog table. And I'm going to make it very basic because I want to be able to roll back our migrations a few times throughout this series. I want to kind of showcase a real life scenario because you will have to do that quite a few times once you may have to rethink your application. So I want to try to make it as lifelike as possible. That's the end of this video, so join me in the next one and we're going to make our own table.